In 2011, a woman named Latoya rushed her 9-year-old son into a sterile hospital room. He was thrashing aggressively and speaking in languages he had never been taught. The medical staff initially suspected a hoax or physical abuse. To protect the child and investigate the mother, they immediately called for police backup. But before the police could even begin their questioning, the boy glided backward up the vertical hospital wall and flipped himself onto the ceiling. Sworn police officers and trained medical professionals stood in that room and watched a child defy physics, later detailing the event in official clinical and legal reports. Most ghost stories rely on the word of a single witness. This one relies on the signatures of government officials, forcing us to ask what happens when the state confronts a reality it cannot explain. The family's ordeal began months earlier, in November 2011. Under extreme financial pressure, Latoya, her mother, and her 3 children moved into a low-cost rental home on Carolina State Street. The first sign of trouble arrived in December. Massive, dense swarms of black flies began appearing inside the house. This timeline compares typical insect winter die-off to the house's impossible December spike. As the timeline continues into the following weeks, new data points plot the family's reports of heavy, rhythmic footsteps and sobbing echoing from the basement. Latoya attempted a mundane fix. She used heavy-duty seals and tape to lock the basement door, hoping to physically contain whatever was making the sounds. Locking a door did little to stop the escalation. Because they lacked the money to move, the family remained stuck in a home that was becoming increasingly dangerous. The hauntings soon became physical, and multiple family members reported waking up in the middle of the night with the sensation of invisible hands choking them. The youngest son began to change, his eyes rolling back until only the whites were visible, and he would begin whispering specific death threats to his family. The situation peaked when Latoya witnessed her 12-year-old son hovering in mid-air, levitating several inches above his bed while he slept. Even then, the family's financial situation left them with nowhere to go. Instead of fleeing, Latoya turned to a local church, begging for a spiritual intervention. The local priest refused to even enter the house. He told Latoya his assessment of the property revealed the presence of 200 distinct entities. The realization that they were outnumbered by a malevolent force pushed Latoya to her limit. This was the psychological breaking point that led her to the hospital for help. After the events at the hospital, the police department launched a formal investigation into the home on Carolina State. Investigators checked for structural issues, gas leaks, and signs of fraud. They found nothing, eventually filing a report that officially accepted the presence of a paranormal entity. In April 2012, Father Michael Maginot was brought in. He performed a multi-day exorcism on the property to try and cleanse the home. The process left Father Maginot severely ill. He reported feeling physically drained and incapacitated by the effort of trying to remove the entities. Seeing a trained religious authority fall ill confirmed for the police that their standard procedures were useless against this specific threat. The government eventually took the rare step of using state funds to move Latoya's family. The decision was based entirely on the police department's assessment that the home was unsafe. The house was abandoned. Local officials were so unsettled by the case that they never issued a demolition order, fearing what might happen if the structure was torn down. The property was later purchased by investigator Zach Bagans, who used the house as the subject of a documentary before eventually destroying the building himself. The 200 Demons house remains a rare case where doctors, police officers, and state officials all encountered a situation they couldn't explain and eventually yielded to forces they officially recorded but could not control. It's a reminder that even our most stable institutions have a breaking point. And on that note, you might want to go double-check the lock on your basement door.